Welcome to Vinyl Verdict. I'm Bell.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Plouffe.
And this is a special hello to the elder millennials who watch our show. It's the majority of our audience. So if you're between, what's a millennial? Between ages 27 and 42.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hello.
That's close enough, yeah.
And if you're outside that range, maybe
See
okay,
you
thanks
later.
another week, Not this time, though.
How'd you find that one out?
I got my ways. I polled every single one.
Oh, you pulled...
Well, this week we're doing Jamie's pick. What'd you pick, Jamie?
I picked a album that we call Spacewave.
Yeah, we've been very excited about this album. You've been talking it up.
No, like the genre in general.
Oh, right.
Excuse
Right,
me.
right,
Yeah,
right,
This,
right.
this album I bought because it is a Spacewave album.
Yeah.
What album?
It's called MNQ026 or HD015.
Depending on the pressing.
That's a long name.
Yeah. By the artist collective Survive.
That's a hard word. I'm glad you got it out.
They're from Austin, Texas. They were formed in 2009.
Cool.
Very cool.
They consist... Oh, I made notes this week, boys. They were formed in 2009, blah, blah, blah. Michael Stein, Kyle Dixon, Adam Jones, and Mark Donica.
Wow, it's like 4 people, really?
It's 4 guys?
I'm a little surprised.
What are they all doing?
It's all synth work. They're watching them on stage is like watching an old Kraftwerk
Like
concert.
4 keyboardists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Kraftwerk perform?
No, I've got a couple, or my dad had a couple of their albums.
Space Kraftwerk, guys.
Yeah.
So Kyle Dixon and Michael Stein composed the score for Stranger Things.
Honestly, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Does the sound sort of like a weird Stranger Things album?
This reminds me of back around like 2011 or so when I was in school, and I was doing a lot of work that I needed just instrumental stuff on, and I would listen to a lot of just dark electronica mix, on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
And while not every track on this album is like that, it's a lot of like kind of ambient noise.
Yes.
The ones that hit that are like dark electronica stuff really do hit. And yeah, I can absolutely see the Stranger Things kind of influence later on.
Yeah, and they ended up winning an Emmy for both parts of the Stranger Things soundtrack.
Cool.
So that's what those guys are doing. What is Spacewave? You want to talk about Spacewave? What is a Spacewave?
I am not sure.
What's a Spacewave, Bell?
It sounds like the ambient noise of space in any video game ever.
Basically.
Yeah.
If you've played a space video game, maybe probably dystopian,
Sure.
this is playing in the background.
Okay, I've read a couple of different articles on this because I was trying to come up with a cohesive, like, what is Spacewave? A couple people said it sounds like the soundtrack to a John Carpenter movie.
I don't agree with that.
Because he does a lot of
Ghosts
synth.
of Mars and
Yeah, he does a lot of synth work. Like the theme to Halloween is very synthy.
Sure, but
This
it
does
doesn't.
not sound like the theme to Halloween.
No, it does not.
Yeah, this does not. I wouldn't say John Carpenter theme songs or anything like that is space wave.
Sort of space horror-y kind of. It's very synth heavy.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Titles that evoke a space theme.
Titles and sounds,
Sure.
honestly, that absolutely evoke a space theme.
On the cover, you usually get a picture of space.
Yeah, that's pretty apt. Your cover is like a planet. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. And another guy from Pitchfork said, "What if Kraftwerk was into horror space movies?"
I mean, yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. This album is part synthwave.
Okay.
It is part ambient space, which is apparently another genre.
Yeah.
Like the airy opening track to this, that's apparently ambient space.
Cool. You combine the two, you get Spacewave?
Yeah, sort of. I don't know. There's a whole playlist to it on Spotify. And guess who it's managed by?
Who?
Kyle Dixon
Wow.
from the Spacewave.
Why don't we talk about this album?
I am curious. Like, you mentioned that you got into Spacewave recently, but this album's from 2012.
Yeah.
Is it still like a really popular
They put
genre
out-
right now?
So
Like,
so Survive puts out an album I'd say once every 2 years now.
okay.
other genre or like other people in the genre have been putting out regular releases.
Interesting. Okay.
There are a lot of weird artists that seem to have come and gone. They only exist on Bandcamp. Another one I like is an artist called Home.
Cool. Is it also spaced out? Like Survive is spaced out? Cool.
Yeah,
Of course
it's very aesthetic.
yeah.
Yeah.
All caps, spaces between each letter.
Home is really good. He's a like a space synthy guy from Florida.
Cool.
He apparently he has a Spotify page. But yeah, Bell's right. Let's talk about this album. Did you like it? Because I don't know if I like it. I bought it though.
So it's 9 songs and it's like 45 and a half minutes long.
Sounds about right.
I like a good half or just under half of it quite a bit.
Yeah.
But then all the ambient stuff, I'm like,
It's like whatever. It spaces the album out.
Pretty much. It just like I could listen to this whole thing in the background, no problem.
Yeah.
I won't get too much into like what my final verdict is, but like I do like the tracks I really like.
Yeah.
And then the ambience isn't bad.
Yeah.
But it's definitely kind of whatever. And I could take it or leave it, absolutely.
Yeah. The ambient stuff kind of hit me with some surprise because I don't think I've ever listened to the album in full, but I've listened to the hits.
It's kind of funny how much of a disparity in listens there is there, at least if you look on Spotify.
Yeah.
The tracks that I liked that were like much more dark synth kind of stuff, those have like 6 million plays, 2 million plays, 3 million plays. Yeah. And then like every other track is like 100,000. Yeah, 200, maybe 250 or 3. Like you can clearly tell that these guys have a few kind of hits or bangers, and then the rest of it is just ambient background filler music.
The big hits on this album are on a number of different
playlists and stuff. Yeah, I absolutely.
2 of them that are curated by Spotify itself, and the one that is curated by the band.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't know. Do you call it a band? Is it a collective? I don't know.
It's a band.
Yeah, it's a
they're
band.
all playing
a group.
I'd call it a band still.
Okay.
They're all, even though it's all synth, like they're all playing an instrument together.
That's fair. Yeah, a synth is an instrument.
Yeah, I pulled a Jamie this week and did not take notes because I didn't feel like there was a whole lot to take notes on.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expected from Spacewave, but I think it was more than this.
Wow.
I really like
I didn't
the
expect
album Radio Nostalgia from Mars, which is the soundtrack from the game Golf Club Wasteland.
Oh,
because that's what Spacewave is to me. It's music that would be played in a spacefaring future, when this kind of just seems like a soundtrack for an indie space game. Like,
Yeah.
it just is like kind of background music. It's like Steve Hyatt. If you like one of the songs, you probably like all or most. But like Steve Hyatt, I don't know if I like it. At least not enough for a full 45-minute album. So like I was very conflicted, and that's why I was like, I'm not really gonna take notes. I'm just gonna listen in my ear and like give thoughts. But it's just like, it's just that it's like the Stranger Things synths on. It's that for 45 minutes, which is fine. But yeah, I don't know. It's fine.
It's like a soundscape.
Yes.
Like it's definitely.
But I'm not like a white noise or like a
Sure.
forest sounds person. And I'm definitely not like, pretending I'm floating in space most of the time.
Yeah, it gives off that vibe quite heavily on several tracks. Just like, I think one of them I even wrote down, this is like the song that would play, or this would be the noise that would play while you're floating in space and you're going to run out of oxygen, but not for a long time.
Not for a long time.
But that's it. You're out there by yourself.
So sorry, what was the ones that were so much more popular?
Floating Cube, I think, was
Hourglass.
Hourglass, yep.
Omniverse. I think Black Molly's was.
Yeah. And that is about.
I guess those ones are a little bit more exciting from what I remember.
Yeah.
So
yeah, those are the upbeat ones. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a pretty stark difference between the ones that only have like 100 or
Dirge
200,000.
might have been like reasonably popular.
Maybe I didn't even like Dirge though that much.
I kind of like that one.
Well, that's fine. It's just. Yeah, the ones I like Hourglass, I even wrote down like hell yeah, like
Hourglass
is
is a
great.
banger.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This.
Oh, sorry, we talked about a track.
Okay, yeah, we'll get there, I guess. The songs that do really well as someone who loves like dark electronica.
Yeah,
I think it suits that really well. I can totally see how a couple of these guys are now did make some of the soundtrack for Stranger Things.
Main theme song.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, the ambience in between, unless you dig that kind of stuff, like that soundscape kind of vibe where it's just like a breeze and like some weird notes every now and then.
Yeah, it gets close because I do like dark techno, like Death Pact
Oh,
is
yeah,
like really
sure.
good
Oh,
dark
fair.
electronic music. But it just never gets to the point for me. It's
Sure.
just it's a little too behind the scenes or like too
Yeah.
background for me. Any thoughts? Any other thoughts? Should we give it one last listen?
Yeah, let's give it one last listen. What an album.
It was an album. I thought Deserted Skies is the first track. I thought it was a weird start to the album. I thought it was very
Really slow start.
yeah, I mean I didn't know what to expect. It kind of sounded like the hiss you get from when you put a cassette tape in and it's not tracking properly.
No one will get that
I don't know-
reference,
I don't know what that
unfortunately,
is.
but
Like
What's a
TV
tape?
noise. Like if you lick a TV,
sure.
that's what it would sound like.
I can't say I've licked a TV.
You know, like the sparkly, like if
Oh
you go
yeah,
up
I
to
actually
like a
do know.
CRT.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
when you
there,
like open your eye really wide and let the sparklies hit your eyeball.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wear glasses, by the way. Now I do. I didn't before letting the sparkles hit my eye. Yeah, no, it's sounds.
Yeah, I wrote it sounds distant and ominous, and I think the title definitely fits like an alien landscape with not a lot going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's this little like synth. It's like do 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 do. It kind of reminds me of like Donkey Kong Country music. Like the instruments that he used back then. It's like it's like almost
Yeah.
like a wind instrument synth. It's
Yeah.
really weird.
Yeah,
It gave me like the feeling like you're on a planet and like you're kind of like ambling about.
yeah. You're
And like there's like you're like the sound of wind.
yeah. You're like carrying cargo outside on Mars or something, and there's no one else around. You're like the only astronaut on the
Well,
planet.
it's like the cover of Dope Smoker.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, they're walking across the desert.
Yeah, except only one person. Like
And
the
dark
whole
and it's cold.
And it's
the
cold
whole-
and it's windy.
the whole album feels very
Space
lonely and dark to me.
Yeah.
I wrote that it does pick up around a minute and a half, but
Yes.
not by much.
Yeah.
Not by much, just a little bit.
Then it goes into Floating Cube.
Which is really good. I actually really like
Yeah.
Floating Cube. I think it's really brooding, and I really like that low kind of dark synth.
Yeah.
And then it actually really slowly evolves, especially between like a minute into a minute 30.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
Yeah,
Yeah. I said I really like the raw sound of the synth at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really digged Floating Cube.
Yeah. I said you can really feel the space wave.
Yeah, feel the wave.
Yeah, this one's a little more intense. It's almost like a little cyberpunky.
Yeah.
It feels a little
Yes.
bit more actiony.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where is the floating cube? It's in space, you big dummy.
Hey.
That's where it is.
Pointed right at Plouffe, called him a big dummy.
Yeah.
Beef at
That's
Final
how it
Verdict.
goes. That's how it goes. I did not like To Light Alone, I Bow.
I bow? I'm just kidding.
It's a really eerie start, and I think it's more of an interlude.
Yes.
It's one of their shorter tracks, too, at
Yes,
like
it
2
is,
minutes
yeah.
and 40 seconds. But it feels like an interlude to me.
I said it felt like the sound of a space probe flying through space, like in a documentary.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the space probe has to make sounds. We can't just make it silent. There's no sound in space, but it makes this little bloop, bloop, bloop,
For some reason, it reminds me of like, you know, when you go to PS2 and you go to like the memory card, or it's like just sitting on the menu.
Yeah, yeah.
It feels like something would be just in the background of that like menu music,
Yeah.
just like
And
little
then-
sounds, kind of just ambient.
Yeah.
Just a noise is going on.
I
Yeah.
know exactly
Every once in a
what
while,
you're
just
talking
like,
about.
it's like, okay, sure, that's weird, but okay.
We get into Hourglass. We're getting through this album real fast. There's not much to talk about. But like, so this is mostly a joke between the three of us.
Yeah, you've been talking
And
about
you, well, the
Spacewave
four
for
of
a
us,
while.
including you, listener.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you, listener, for listening to this very short episode. Hourglass. What a banger.
I love this one.
6.3 million listens.
Yeah, I think this would have been really perfect on a game like Hotline Miami.
Yeah, I said that too.
Yeah.
I wrote that down.
Fits it like perfectly to the point where I like went and looked at because I owned Hotline Miami 1 and 2 soundtracks.
It sounds like something Perturbator makes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly was like,
Perturbator.
have I heard this before? Because it really fits.
Yeah, see, I could see you putting on, again, you have it on your wall, but I could see you taking it down, putting on your drive jacket, and then putting in your earbuds and walking in the
This
street with
does
your hands
sound
in your
like
pocket.
Kavinsky's night call,
Yeah.
sort of.
I wrote on a
Yeah.
couple other tracks that this sounds like it could fit on Drive.
This
as
is a
well.
very
Yes.
Sigma song.
Absolutely.
Oh no! Men going their own ways.
Yeah.
I think it fits the dark vibe and the synth really nicely. Around like 2 minutes, there's some really spooky noises.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's good. I really like Hourglass. I can completely see why it's got so many plays on Spotify.
I really like the driving theme of the drums, like how the drums like really drove the song forward.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
an
like
hourglass.
the
You're running out of time.
banana.
Yeah.
It's a fun little beat.
I said maybe it's from a Blade Runner type movie.
Oh,
The
yeah.
guy's standing there in the rain, and there's an android he's after, and his hover car is.
Yeah.
You know what? Some of the, I don't know what I got to call this synth. It's almost like a saxophony synth. Kind of feels a little retro. That's exactly it. Feels a little retro.
So in reading a review of another one of their albums, someone said that their music is designed to evoke a feeling of another time. So it's like nostalgia that didn't exist for music that didn't really happen in the 80s. I guess this kind of music was not popular in the 80s.
Funny enough, yeah, like it's a thing you think about.
Yeah.
When you think about the 80s, or like Hotline Miami
Yeah.
makes it a big deal. But this was kind of niche. Anything like this would have been pretty niche back then.
Yeah.
Played at like clubs or like underground clubs.
Yeah.
Or maybe in like an old sci-fi movie used by like, it's not a Hollywood tier movie. It's some B movie that like some guy just did the music for.
Movie like Night of the Comet or something like
Yeah,
that. Like
sure.
a B movie.
Yeah.
Night of the Comet's a good movie. You should watch it.
Maybe I will.
Maybe you will. Omniverse, which is the end of side A. This is where the split happens.
Okay. I liked this one. It kind of reminds me of the soundtrack to Drive, and it's got a
Yes.
really dark and brooding, steady synth beat. And yeah, I like it. It's not like my favorite, but it's good.
I liked how it picked up around 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it like the weird, I don't know, breakdown. I don't know how to
Yeah.
describe it. It was like punk music has breakdowns in it.
Yeah, or bridges.
Yeah.
I like the weird beat it has. It's like boom, ba-doom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. Like it's like a weird amount of time, which is neat. But I mean, I don't like the song, but it's a cool. The beat's cool.
It's got a funky beat.
Yeah, it's funky.
I thought it was kind of like interesting, but not like
Not necessarily just good, but
yeah,
like,
it's
neat.
fine. Yeah, I just think it's neat.
Yeah, I just think it's neat.
Where in space are we? I think we're hustling towards a planet. I think we're motoring.
we're cruising. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that. Like I said, remind me of Drive.
Hyper
so,
cruise.
Yeah.
We can't say warp or whatever they called it
No.
in
What's
Star
the?
Wars.
Just keep going.
Black Mollies.
Cool.
Start of side B.
Cool title.
Yeah.
It's a long track.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
I'm assuming it's like spooky MDMA.
It has a very has a very foreboding tone.
Yeah.
Um,
I wrote very spacey, very wavy. The break in the middle was cool.
Is that 3 minutes in?
I think so.
Okay,
yeah, especially with the drop as everything kind of comes in. Very moody, like a dark rave.
It picks up or gets louder or at least sounds faster or something around 3 minutes.
Yeah,
is my note.
yeah. That's
And there's just a long outro with nothing, and then like a phone ring or something. I don't know what that sounds supposed to be.
yeah.
I don't know.
Then we get Scalar Wave,
Scalar wave.
which is a
Finally, we're done with Spacewave.
real
Now it's time for Scalar Wave.
Scalar Wave now.
It's real fuzzy and spaced out at the beginning, like in a movie. Like when they pass by like a solar flare in a movie.
Yeah. I can dig it.
Fuzzy.
it was a little too slow of a start for me, and then a really slow ending as well.
Is there anything in the middle? I think it's just slow the entire way, isn't it?
Right, yeah. And like it's 5 minutes and 20 seconds, but by the way,
It's like a single note, pretty
there's,
much.
there's like 20 seconds of silence just at the very end of it.
And I said it evaporates around 3 minutes and 50
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah.
Yeah. If you're gonna listen to any of the songs on this album, make it this one. Why? I don't know. Why not?
Why not? Oh, it's funny. Yeah, there was some space and wave in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is shunting yard?
I'm not sure. I
like the
wondered
word
about
shunt.
that. Yeah, me too.
So in a train yard, if you're shunting things together, you're making a train.
Oh, that makes
So
sense
that's what
because
a
like a
shunting
shunt mod on
yard-
a
yeah.
GPU. Yeah.
So
It continues the silence from the end of Scalar Wave for like a
Takes
good little while.
ages to get started.
Then it's got some airy
And when I say
synth.
get started, I'm saying that very loosely.
Yeah, some airy synth comes in. That's it getting started.
It pretty much goes. It takes like 3 minutes to get into it.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the Stranger Things theme song.
Yeah.
Like it's the same like synth, and then the song ends like a minute later. It's like okay.
Yeah. I wrote that if a shunting yard is a thing or a place, this song feels like I'm floating inside of it in a suit that is running out of oxygen, but not for a long time.
It's almost like these last couple songs is like you've been sucked out of your little
Yes.
home. And you're just floating in space away from your
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
It's just like
It gets
so
quieter.
almost there, and then it just is gone. It's like you're floating past somebody's window. It's
Yeah.
like, damn.
have you guys ever seen the game Hard Space Shipbreaker?
Yep.
This sounds like the soundtrack to that
Absolutely.
game. Yeah. That game's a banger, by the
Yeah,
way.
you owe a company like $1 million.
No, it's like $1 trillion.
And so that makes sense that this depressing, oppressive
Yeah.
music
Yeah.
would be the soundtrack.
and
Floating
you
out in a
slowly
shunting
get
yard.
it back, and they charge you if you accidentally throw the pieces into the wrong like bin.
Nice.
It's a pretty good game. It's really good if you want to like listen to something and like do something at the same time.
I'll listen to Spacewave while I play it.
Yeah, it's the
I feel
actual thing.
fully immersed in this awful, awful future.
I'll get like a helmet and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it ends with dirge, which again is that a word?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but I
dirge
like
is-
it. What's
dirge is a word.
dirge?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
What's that song? The Sarah McLachlan song, the "In the Arms of
I
the
Will
Angel" or
Remember You.
whatever. Yeah, those are all f***ing dirges.
What's a dirge?
like-
A funeral hymn.
It's
It's a
like
lament.
something you would sing at a
Yeah.
funeral.
It's a lament for the dead.
Well, they should have called all the songs dirge.
Sort of, yeah. Space Dead. I said it was really foreboding. Had a real fuzzy tone to it.
Yeah, it's got a really spooky intro.
But it's like it's a higher pace than the last like
Yeah.
4 songs, which is odd.
It is not much more higher paced,
No.
but it is. Some of the spooky intro just kind of sounds like sound effects that surprise you, and then what sounds like a door opening with like dark synth in the background. It kind of really reminds me of like a random dark synth playlist that I used to listen to, just like way slower. But it's good. Like I actually kind of like Dirge. It's not my favorite, but yeah, it's better than the last 4 songs or so.
Yeah, side B is definitely
The worst side.
Yeah, it didn't need a side B.
No, should fit Dirge on the side A somehow and then
Yeah.
call it an album.
I thought it was like we're on an alien planet and the sun is coming up,
Oh, okay.
but there's space worms on the horizon.
Damn.
They're gonna eat me.
Yeah.
Big Space Worms?
Yeah, like in what's that movie? Doom. Yeah,
I've never seen it. Tremors?
Tremors.
Oh,
Never
wow.
seen
What
that
a
either.
Great movie too.
wow. You haven't seen Tremors?
Tremors is
Tornado.
You're missing out. That's another
No,
good one.
Twister.
Twister.
Yeah.
Twister. That's
Yeah.
the one I was
Yeah,
thinking of.
they hide under the
the
bridge
one
or
about the
whatever,
board game,
but it's
right?
like the last place you should hide under
In
tornado.
Tremors?
No, in Twister.
Twister.
Toy
yeah.
Story.
They're under like an overpass.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
like the last place you should hide
Yeah,
in
'cause it
the
sucks it
event
right
of a
out.
Twister. Yeah.
Well, that's
That was Spacewave.
Survive.
Yeah.
We did it.
The album itself.
Okay, so the album is actually nicely presented. It came in its own like plastic sleeve because it has like the logo on it,
Oh yeah.
so you know what album it is. And mine is a red pressing.
What does it say? It just says Survive on the
It just
sticker.
says Survive. Yeah,
It is. Wow, that's interesting because all the covers everywhere else is blue.
Yeah, so mine's red, and the vinyl itself
It looks very nice and red. What's on the front?
It looks like a planet with like weird spots, or maybe this is a picture of the sun.
Yeah, I don't know. There's weird spots on the top of it, like black splotches, kind of. Could be anything.
What's
Maybe
the back? It's like a blurry photo too, except for the splotches. The
Yeah.
splotches are like
Well,
high def.
it's sort of like the pictures we got from Voyager.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like an early space probe, perhaps. It came in this awful sleeve.
The back is just colors. It's nothing interesting.
Why is the sleeve so bad?
It was a black sleeve, but it has this like mylar or like plastic on the inside,
Pretty
like
common.
But the record was stuck to it.
Oh.
When I got it,
Isn't
so I
that
took it out.
Yeah, isn't that stuff used to be for like anti-static properties?
Yeah, but I think it had either been like cramped between some other records for a long time. I bought this on
Vinyl's so
Amazon.
pretty. Wow.
Ooh.
So it is a marble colored,
like see-through red.
see-through translucent with like wisps of smoke.
Yeah.
How much do you think I paid for this record?
$25.
$30.
$18.
Hey.
I paid $18. And
I mean, the record's very cool looking.
Yeah. I've never actually played it.
What? Even for this? What? Come on.
I didn't have time list.
Oh my god.
Well, we played it earlier when we gave it one last listen.
Yeah. Sorry, I have not played it on my own personal stereo. It is an interesting record. I have no idea when I would ever listen to it in my own home. I bought it because I thought it was funny and it was cheap.
It was funny.
And it was cheap.
Yeah.
$18 isn't bad.
Mission accomplished.
Holodeck Records is a very small record label.
Yeah.
And that's why the record is called HD015 on vinyl. All of the survived releases are just named after their catalog number. They don't have names.
I'm sure people love being able to find their music easily.
Yeah, hey.
It's like, hey, what's that new Survival album? It's like, I don't know. There's no point trying to find it.
XQ2301-2.
XQCOW. Like, it's so complicated. Who knows? Yeah, wow. It is interesting. Should we do vinyl verdicts?
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say.
Plouffe, go ahead. You look like you sound like you're ready.
Sure. I like this album. I don't like it. I'm not going to give it a crazy high score or anything. But I definitely, all of the ambience could just be taken away and it could be those just dark synthy tracks.
Yeah.
And I would really dig it, actually. Like, if it was a full album of just, like, Hourglass, maybe Dirge, or was another one, like Black Molly's, or Floating Cube. Like, if it was all just those songs.
Oh, Floating Cube, yeah.
Maybe a single interlude or something that's, like, a couple minutes long to try to, like, space you out a bit. I'd probably rank this, like... I'd probably rate it pretty highly, but because there's just so much filler that I just don't care about at all, that I had trouble paying attention to after a while.
I have a big problem with a lot of this genre. Some of the stuff hits, and a lot of it misses.
Interesting. Just like this album.
Yeah, or like synthwave in general. Like they can't all be singers, and they sure aren't. So, like Simpsons Wave even.
Oh, fuck.
Whoa. Simpsons Wave was great.
Simpsons Wave, yeah, but not all of it's great. But
well,
the videos are great.
Give me that. Yeah, give me. Put it in H. I love that one. Yeah, so I don't know. I like it. I had so much trouble rating it. I initially put it at like a 7.5 because I was listening to like Hourglass a couple times. Realistically, it's probably more like a 6, maybe a 6.5. Like the ones that are on here, I think they are pretty solid. Like there's a very strong reason why those ones have like a couple million plays, and then everything else is like 100, 200,000. So
yeah, because those ones are actually the fun ones to listen to. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with 6.5, which is actually lower than what I originally scored it before we talked about it.
That seems pretty high to me.
So
not bad.
But I think that like Hourglass and a couple other songs are like really actually pretty good. But I don't know.
I'll go next.
Yeah.
Do you like the game Faster Than Light? Did you notice and like the soundtrack? Then this is the album for you. Assuming that you said yes to both of those. It's a cool album. Very cool even. But I don't really want to listen to it. It'd be cool background music for a role-playing campaign with your friends, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in the 29th spot. Above Exile on Main Street by the Rolling Stones and below Scratch and Sniff by Jazz Spastics.
Wow.
I was very excited to listen. I should say finally listen to Spacewave. But this album couldn't live up to the hype that we built up through the memes and laughs that we shared. And I will never listen to anything like this ever again. Just kidding. But this is definitely not this album.
everything you both have said is fair, and I completely agree with you. This is an album that has a time and place,
Yeah.
and I don't know what that is.
It's 200 years in the future.
200, it's 200 years in the future, and I'm handing out Halloween candy.
Yeah. You're a space junk collector cleaning up the lower Earth orbit junk that's strewn about.
I'm the astronaut at the beginning of Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
And I'm falling to Earth in my Corvette.
Yeah, absolutely. This album actually reminded me of Heavy Metal. That part, and the part where they do all that cocaine on the spaceship. Yeah, it really reminded me of that.
John Candy's doing cocaine on the spaceship.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's John Candy.
So one of the things I follow on Twitter that's I find very fascinating is an account called 70s Sci-Fi Art, and this album is just 70s sci-fi art.
Absolutely, yeah.
The album. That fella's got a book coming out. It's probably worth looking at. It's talking about like the direction of like Sid Mead, like artists like that.
Yeah.
Shout out to that guy. This album though, I probably give like a 7 out of 13, which is basically the same number that Plouffe gave, but out of my weird rating.
That's even lower then.
Is
no, 7 out of 13 is a little higher than me, I think.
It's like a 50%.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's fine. But I don't know what the time and place to listen to it is, other than Hourglass, which is a banger.
Yeah, there's a few. Floating Cube is pretty good too.
Yeah, like Hourglass, I have on a playlist on Spotify. None of the other tracks I have on a playlist.
Yeah.
Would I pay $18 for this to make this joke again? Yeah, probably. This joke was worth at least $18 in the 18 minutes it took us to record this episode.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what else is worth $18? Plouffe's next pick.
Hey, it's worth more than $18. I'm choosing an album that I previously talked about, Coral Fang by the Distillers. We'll see. I don't know. Who knows if you guys will like it or not? It's always a mystery. It's always a coin toss.
Well, find out next time.
Yep.
On Vinyl Verdict.
See you later.
See you later.
Why'd you send me a picture of a cat with small hands?
What do you mean?